It is Sunday, August 3rd here at the West End Gun Club. It's 5:36. Sun is starting to creep out, or at least some daylight, and sunrise probably around 5:50 or so. We're out here on the main line on a Sunday, which I usually don't shoot on the main line, but the upper range is closed still for renovations. They're almost done from what I understand, maybe another month or so. However, I came out to the range just to do some quick function testing and just burn off 15 rounds because I want to reload some brass, and then I may go shoot some pistol. I didn't plan on being here too long. Definitely not on the main line for very long because Sundays people usually roll in and it'll be more of a crowd. So I already got my rifle set up. I got a target set up out there just at 100 or so yards. It's going to be a little bit farther because I think they have that thing paced off at meters. So it's like 105 yards, but it doesn't really matter for this purposes or these purposes. But once the sun starts to come out a little bit, then we'll just start shooting. A couple range vlogs ago, I covered a PRS match that I attended down in Pala, which got cut short because the fire broke out and we vacated the range. The match was canceled. But during that match, I shot 4 stages of the 8, so I shot half of them, and I was having magazine feeding issues. So with the rifle that I was shooting, which was my NRL Hunter rifle build in the sportsman class for PRS, I wanted to shoot that just to get some more time with my rifle. Especially since my NRL Hunter rifle went through a change because I switched out the HNT26 chassis for the carbon stock, or the MDT CRBN. I'm running the bottom metal, the MDT precision bottom metal, and what ended up happening is I tuned it for AW mags, and then they weren't feeding well. And so the bolt was overriding the top, and it wasn't picking up the rounds. So I did some more tweaking, and I think I have them set. However, I got to thinking about AICS mags, and AICS mags feed fine. But the reason I don't want to shoot an AICS mags is because they're tall and I don't have one with me. But I got to thinking to myself, wait a minute. I have these American Rifle Company mags, which I have right here. This is an American Rifle Company AICS mag. It's shorter, just like an AW mag, which I have right next to it. They're basically the same height. And so it's a double stack AICS mag. Basically, it feeds, unlike a double stack AW where you just push it over the top, you put the rounds on top like an AR magazine. And it's a true double stack. This is more of a double stack, single stack hybrid where it presents just like an AICS mag where it's just a single round visible in the center line versus side by side with the AW mags. So this gives me the lower profile I want from an AW mag in an AICS format. However, I bought these back in 2019, 2018 maybe, a long time ago. And I stopped using them because they were feeding. They could not feed well. They were constantly nosediving. There was so many issues with it. And so I gave up on them. And apparently a lot of people had the same problems with these American Rifle Company or ARC mags. I ended up probably 2022, 2023, 2020, I don't know, somewhere. A few years later, LRI came out with some followers, which you see here is a silver follower. And I thought that was going to solve the problems. But when I was testing these after I put the new followers in, I was putting them in 22 GT and I was still having some nosediving issues or some feeding issues. And so I gave up on them. Fast forward to like a month ago or a few weeks ago, I decided to try these out with Creedmoor dummy rounds, and they were feeding perfect. So that being said, I was testing these with dummy rounds at home and these feed fine. So I actually have 2. I have another one still in the box, an ARC mag, brand new, with the original orange follower, but I have another LRI follower that I can swap out with, which should solve the nosediving issues. These are no longer in production. I know a lot of people actually like these, but a lot of people hate them as well because there's so many problems. And it's my understanding that they discontinued making these at ARC because, one, they were outsourcing the production of these things and they were having issues post-COVID trying to get these things produced. 2, I think they were just probably not wanting to deal with all the problems that people were reporting. If you know ARC and the guy Ted, who it's his company, I don't think he has the patience to deal with the issues that happen with magazines. The guy can make some great actions and he makes great scope rings, but when it comes to mags, I think these are more troublesome than anything, and there's just so many finicky issues with magazines. It's probably not even worth their time. I'm sure they'll probably revisit this, but magazines are so finicky, and you're gonna have so many problems because people have them in so many chassis, so many bottom metals that they have to deal with so many reports that this takes a lot of time to troubleshoot, and they probably don't want to spend that kind of time to deal with these issues. So, in any case, I have two. I know these are actually highly sought after on the aftermarket because people have figured out how to deal with the issues. People in the know as far as adjusting feed lips, changing out followers. But I'm glad I actually have two because now I found a real good use for them. But I'm gonna go ahead and start shooting the rest of my rounds before people get here because it's almost 6 o'clock. I set up this this tarp I'm on only because I'm shooting dummy rounds. I'm gonna mix some dummy rounds inside my real rounds just to function test with 10 rounds in the magazine, and I don't want to get my dummy rounds all dirty, so I have a tarp, this canvas tarp set up. So let's go and shoot off this tripod and then try to go shoot some pistol after this. I'm gonna mix up some rounds in here, dummy rounds followed by live rounds of some sort, just to mix it up here. And I'm going to shoot off a tripod this morning, just for the sake of shooting off a tripod. Now, as far as the mag, how I set up the magazine catch, it's jammed in there pretty. You have to get the mag slammed in there. I do have a paper target set out there. No feedback here, but I mean, we'll just look on paper as far as just our shots. I do have a shoot and see, some large ones on there, 2-inch and a 3-inch. But let's just go ahead and shoot. Now I'm going to try to see if I can jam my mag in there to induce sort of misfeeds or feed jams. And that didn't feed. Well, that was a dummy round. Okay. Oh, that was high. All right, looks like we had full function on this, at least. I'll have to look on camera, or in the video after I edit, but looks like we function tested that. That was just the AW mag. We'll try the AICS mag. The ARC AICS. Live round, dummy round, live round, dummy round, live round, dummy round, then live round. I think that was my gunsmith / RO. Is driving his Tundra, not his, I think that was him. Driving his Tundra, not his Raptor. Let me square up my body more on this one. That fed well as well. So looks like we're good there. All right, for some reason my drills app did not record both times, and I only had that thing running for this second string that I fired with just the 4 rounds that I had left over, or 5, I think 9 rounds I had left over. In any case, all 3 mags function fine. They feed perfectly. So no issues there as far as adjustments for my mags for either AW mags or this AICS arc mag. One other thing I want to mention, if you can't see on camera, is I have the pulse connected to my Area 419 match rings. These are the Area 419 rings, and I have a pulse adapter. So if they just released this, it's for the pulse level on their scope rings or scope mounts. I have it kind of in this position. It doesn't look very as clean as flush it would be if it were on the other side of the L bracket, if you want to call it an L. But I had to get it in this orientation to get it high off the right side in order to clear the bolt handle. I could do it the other way, but then my hand would just be really close to it, and it doesn't really feel good if I'm trying to operate my bolt fast and that's there. I can't run on the left side because I run a trigger cam, and the 2.1 is on the left side. It's clocked 9 degrees to the 9 o'clock position. So if I try to put it on the left side, obviously I wouldn't be able to see it. So I have to put it here. My only disappointment is that I wish they had made it vertical. However, they do have a Picatinny rail that goes vertical. So if I needed to, or I could clamp this in vertically that way. So I actually may just go that route. But I'll just play around with this. I mean, it actually looks pretty decent. She's on camera. Let's try not to point it down range still as far as the rifle, because this is the main line. But it actually fits decent. I guess I'll have a little mini review of this thing shortly as far as the mount's concerned, and I'll probably do my own review of the pulse eventually, because I've had the pulse for 1.5 years or so, but I don't really use it. But I've been starting to use it more only because I have the SG Global timer for our NRL 22 matches. But other than that, we'll see what I can come up with as far as just a little show and tell for the Area 419 mount, because I do like the Area 419 scope mounts and all the adapters they come out with, because it's pretty much kind of like a spur in terms of all the stuff that they're releasing. So there's lots of attachments and mounts, and it's versatile, just like a spur mount is. But it's cheaper than a spur, I think, and they're made in the US, so it's, got easier support as far as, the product line, because the Area 419 is in the US. You don't have to deal with a European company. I'm already here at the pistol range. I fired like 30 or 40 rounds on an IPSC target. Set up a steel target there in the corner. We'll just shoot on that. Shooting the Glock 19, which haven't shot in a while. And I'll admit that I just don't shoot pistols in general. Up until earlier this year when I got 2 new pistols, my Glock 20, that's the 10 millimeter, and then my SIG P365, which I am carrying today or this morning, that I go months without shooting pistol. I know it's pretty bad and lax about not maintaining my proficiency, but it is what it is when you're just so split between so many different things, trying to shoot rimfire, precision rimfire, trying to dabble in precision center fire, and you just spread so thin. And when it comes to shooting sports, multidiscipline, it takes a lot of commitment, a lot of time, and a lot of money. And I think the reason why I did so well I don't say do so well, but I was able to go distinguished with service rifle back in the 2000s because I spent 5 years straight. All I shot was the AR-15 service rifle. I literally did not shoot any other gun for 5 years straight, believe it or not. I never shot any pistols, no rimfire, no nothing. For 5 years, all I did was shoot the service rifle. Every weekend, I would practice service rifle standing. 200 yards standing, that's all I would do, plus sitting and maybe a couple rounds of prone, because prone, I don't bother practicing prone. It's all shooting standings where you need to practice. Like 95% of my practice was standing, standing, and then some sitting drills. But again, I mean, that's how I perform. I think I was able to go distinguished is because I committed myself to that. Now, if you're multidisciplined, you're either really good and talented and you got time and resources. You know, those professional shooters, that's all they do is they shoot 3-gun and IPSEC, IDPA, all these different things that they're into, and they just time, resources, and talent combined. They're just able to maintain that level of performance, which it's hard to do as a regular person with a regular day job. So I understand for people who, and then people look at me and say, "Oh, you go to the range all the time." I'm like, yeah, I do. I mean, I do go to the range often, but you know, I don't think I'm doing it enough to where I'm really going to hit a peak performance in one area. So it is what it is. There's no doubt that you're aware of the P320 problems that SIG is going through right now. It's a crap storm as far as PR and their lack of acknowledgement that there is an issue. And I think people are trolling SIG right now in recent months because they tried to be proactive and claim that there's nothing wrong with the SIG P320. Then an airman, United States Air Force, had an accidental or a mechanical failure on his firearm that resulted in that person being killed. And so it is unfortunate. And I think it's very interesting as far as what's happening right now as far as the SIG P320. I've been watching a lot of the independent studies, and I've seen some interesting things about how they can induce a 320 to discharge without actually pulling the trigger completely. There's, from what I can tell, it's pretty evident that there's a flaw in the design such that there's any wear on any of the parts or any inconsistencies or quality control issues as far as those parts not being perfect to spec, that it'll discharge without intentionally trying to discharge it. So from my understanding, the P365 does not have that issue because the design is different. But it is interesting to see the history of the 320 and the adoption of it by the military, because it seems like, I don't know why the military didn't pick Glocks. I heard some various things on why they didn't go with the Glock, because I think the Glock is a superior firearm to the SIG, at least for that specific line in terms of the 320 design versus the Glock 19. But listening to or reading about what transpired in the selection process, it seems like SIG lucked out, and I think they did not bother to do true testing on that firearm. And I think a lot of these things would have transpired or came to light during the military testing. So I don't know. In any case, I'm actually pretty happy with the 365 as far as format or the form factor. I am looking at the Hellcat though. I can get the Hellcat for pretty cheap, unfortunately, after it's all said and done with the $100 import tax that I pay, because most dealers charge $100 flat fee for getting an out-of-state transfer on any firearm that you get out of state that they're not selling to you. On top of that, I pay 20% sales tax, so it's a wash. Then I may as well just find a dealer who has a decent price and just buy it directly from them, because I do get a discount on the Hellcat. But I was looking at that. It looks pretty interesting. I may consider it, but we'll see. If you haven't read my review of the P365, I did post one, so check it out. I'll put a link to that review. Overall, I like this form factor, the slim form factor. With the modifications I made, I took out the loaded chamber indicator, no mag disconnect, and then I'm going with the Wilson Combat grip. And granted, he spent more money making some changes, but I do like the gun. The TLR 7X is a great light, but when I'm firing, I think I might have actually turned the light on because my thumb independently hits that the way I grip it. So I have to figure out a better way to just hold the gun without actuating that light, because I have a tendency to recoil into my thumb hitting that switch. So something to think about as far as micro compacts and lights. But I do like this light. I think it's great. It's bright, small, and it just fits perfectly on a micro compact gun that I can carry a light on a micro compact. Why am I doing that? took out my other holster, but this is the holster that I run for the light bearing, the Tolster, and I can carry a micro compact with a light inside the waistband, and it fits pretty well enough that I can conceal it. So I do like this form factor. It's really cool. All packed up, about to get out of here. It's only 7:20, but I didn't want to be here all day or all morning, so want to get out of here before it gets really crowded here. Kind of hungry, didn't eat yet, so I'll grab a coffee probably on the way home, and then don't know what I'm going to eat. But just kind of weight update. I am consistently now at 31 pounds roughly lost since May 1st, so I'm doing pretty well. I started to incorporate a little more cardio in my daily routine, or at least during Monday through Friday. After I get home from the gym, I actually go for another 1.5 miles or so, just for a brisk walk, jog type deal. I hate to run. I've never been a good runner. I can't run very long, so my endurance is terrible. I would never been in the military the way I can't run for some odd reason. I've always admired people who can actually do, marathons and stuff, or even just do cross country, that type of running in high school. Like, I could never do it. I'd barely make a mile. I don't know how long it took me to run a mile back in the day, like 11 minutes, 12 minutes. Terrible, right? So, I mean, I was just struggling through it too. So, I don't know. I've just never been much of a runner at all. Everyone's told me, hey, here's how you try, or like you work yourself up to it. So I'm trying to work myself up to it to see if I can at least start getting like generic runs in for like a couple miles a day or something, just in the mornings. But we'll see. I don't know. Something about running in me, I just doesn't mix. Just shin splints eventually, trying to burn through those, and just sort of inability to maintain a consistent run, right? Just as far as just getting tired. We'll see. Anyway, there's a match coming Saturday, today's Sunday, so next Saturday, there's a PRS match over in Piru, California, which is going to be about a 2-hour, 15-minute drive to me. I've never been to that range. That's where like a lot of stuff happens in the LA area. Supposedly that it's a PRS regional, and if you had shot the one that I shot that I mentioned earlier in the vlog that got cut by the fire, they'll reduce that by $20. So it's still gonna be like $45 to entry of this thing. I'm debating on going or not. To drive in the morning, I'd have to leave the house around 4:45, 4:30 to get there, which is, not a terrible thing to do. I've done it before where I've left the house that early. It's just 2.5 hour drive, 2:15, and then the drive home is gonna be horrendous coming out of LA, that part of LA, North LA. It's gonna be terrible to get home. Probably take me 3 hours, 2 hours 45, 3 hours to get home. So I'm debating on whether or not I'm gonna go. I just shoot my NRL Hunter rig in the sportsman's class again, just because I want more time and practice behind that gun, and more, more PRS style positions, right? Because NRL Hunter is mostly prone, but they'll make you shoot off props and whatnot. But I just want to have more time and experience shooting on things and targets and positions that I didn't tell myself to do, right? Because if you go to the range, you set something up, you're kind of already mentally prepared for doing it, versus going to a match. Oh, you get the stages and let's go do it because you didn't come up with the stage. So it's not blind, but it's blind enough. We're like, hey, you've got to find the target because you don't know where it's at. You've never seen it yet until the day of to go locate it on where it is in the area. So it's completely different than just setting up something at your own range because you know where you sit at the steel. So it's not like it's hard to find it and stuff. So anyway, that's the only reason I want to go shoot it. I don't care about winning or anything. I just want practice. So I probably may just wait for a closer centerfire PRS style match to attend rather than go to that one, but we'll see. Anyway, enough talk. I know like not much shooting in this range vlog, but I came out here to accomplish a couple things, and I did. And I'm glad my NRL Hunter rig is tuned for AW mags, feeding perfectly, and also works with that ARC mag. And I'm probably going to convert the other ARC mag that I have that I never fired before. I'm going to go ahead and put the new follower in there, or the LRI follower. So I now have several mags that I know will work well in this gun that are AW form factor, lower profile, perfect for this firearm. Anyway, that's it for today. August 3rd, Sunday here at the West End Gun Club. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vlog.